I started my career in immigration enforcement in 1984 as a Border Patrol agent. I've worked for 6 presidents, up to Donald Trump. Every president I've ever worked for took some steps to secure the border because they understood you can't have strong national security if you don't have border security. But President Biden is the first president in the history of this nation that I know of who came in office and unsecured the border on purpose.
Cities across the U.S., Canada, and Europe are struggling to find homes for illegal immigrants. The governments of these countries have rolled out the red carpet for mass illegal immigration while leaving their citizens with no recourse, no say on the matter, and left feeling abandoned by the very governments that they supported. In the fourth quarter of 2023, border encounters in the U.S. surpassed births for the first time.
So we went for the most secure border of my lifetime. And it's not just my opinion. I've done this for 34 years. Anybody can go to cbp.gov, look at the data. We handed this administration the most secure border in my lifetime. And within months, we went from the most secure border to historic illegal immigration. Numbers you've never seen before. And it's not because it's seasonal. It's not because of climate change. It's not because of Trump. This is by design.
It seems this strategy has gone global. Cloward-piven strategy, conceived in the 1960s, advocates for overwhelming the welfare system to provoke a crisis, ultimately leading to radical political and social change. They outlined their strategy in an influential 1966 article titled "The Weight of the Poor: A Strategy to End Poverty," published in the academic journal Social Work.
Court orders are years out, but this administration's counting on it. You overflow the system.
Critics argue that this approach could incentivize mass illegal immigration to Western countries as individuals seek to capitalize on generous welfare programs.
It's a shell game. They move people, they move thousands to the port of entry so they can claim less illegal entries between the port of entries, but it's failed. Because November, December, we saw record amounts of crossings on the border, over 300,000 just in December.
The influx of illegal aliens would strain resources and services, overwhelming the welfare system to the point of collapse. Radical political and social changes would occur, leading to the implementation of a more expansive welfare state.
And people who say that the border is not in crisis, I tell you this, in 2020, the total encounters on the southwest border is 646,000. This year, 3.2 million, 5 times what we saw during last year's Trump administration.
I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are.
According to Customs and Border Protection, this disruption started at about 1:30 on Sunday, and this happened at the Paso del Norte Bridge in El Paso, Texas. Now, this connects El Paso to Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and CBP says that they deployed physical barriers to stop this attempted mass entry into the United States. Why are we seeing this right now? Well, you probably remember the immigration policy towards Venezuelans changed in October, and since then there's been a swelling of Venezuelans in Ciudad Juarez on the Mexican side.
Concerns arise over the long-term sustainability of welfare systems and their ability to accommodate a growing population of beneficiaries, fueling debates over immigration policies and national identity. While the cloward-piven strategy remains a topic of debate, its potential impact on immigration to Western countries underscores the need for careful consideration of policies and their consequences on societal dynamics. Agenda 2030 has had a huge impact on illegal immigration to Western countries, sparking both discussions and concerns. Critics argue that the agenda's emphasis on reducing inequality and fostering economic growth may inadvertently contribute to an influx of illegal immigrants to Western nations. As policies strive to create more equitable opportunities, these same policies are intensifying illegal immigration pressures, especially towards wealthier regions. Goal 10's focus on reducing income disparities incentivizes individuals from less affluent regions to seek better economic prospects in Western countries, straining resources and services to the point of collapse. Overwhelmed borders paint a stark picture of the failings of city and state governments in Western countries, revealing cracks in the foundation of their capacity to manage the influx of illegal immigrants. Cities are buckling under the weight of the crisis, struggling to provide basic services and support to migrants and residents alike. The strain on resources and infrastructure exposes systemic weaknesses and shortcomings in governance. Local leaders find themselves overwhelmed and underprepared, unable to effectively address the growing humanitarian and logistical challenges. The gap between promises and actions widens, eroding trust and exacerbating tensions within communities. Voting rights of citizens are also called into question, with many local and state governments as well as representatives clamoring to add new voters to their rolls. This only furthers their aims of staying in power through continued corruption of voter rolls.
Our last questions will come from Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, representing the 9th Congressional District of New York. Congresswoman Clarke, you have 5 minutes.
What role do you believe members of the Haitian American diaspora here can and should play in assisting the effort to stabilize and rebuild Haiti? I'm from Brooklyn, New York. We have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here. But would you please respond? And I yield back after that, Mr. Chairman, and I thank you for your indulgence.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers, and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here. And we will be pursuing that in the next Senate.
That's not true. The New York City Council voted in December to allow this. It begins January 9, 2023. Cities in Vermont and Maryland already allow this, and similar measures are under consideration in Illinois, Maine, and Massachusetts right now.
Mr. Gentleman, will you?
Yes.
I believe those are considerations of allowing votes in municipal elections only.
Right, but thank you. That's the point. Everybody wants to know at home, why would they allow this? Guys, they're allowing it because they're going to turn them into voters. They already are doing this in New York City, largest city in America, and this is the plan of our friends on this side to turn all the illegals into voters. That's it, folks. That's what's going on. That's the game. That's why the border's open. That's why they've dropped it. Look, I respect Ms. Lofgren and all her work in this arena. Yes, I'll yield, Mr. Chairman. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this.
As a New Yorker, I would love to think that New York is the entire country, but it is not. It is not, and consideration is being given to permitting non-citizens to vote in New York, and I believe in the capital city of Vermont. I forget which that is, but as much as I'd like to believe it, New York and Vermont are not the entire country.
But, Mr. Chairman, that's the whole point. This is what's going on, folks, at home. If you're trying to figure this out, if you're scratching your heads, you see the video, you see droves of people, 2.4 million people coming over the border illegally, the president allowing, the Democrats in charge of Congress are allowing it. The deal is they're going to turn them into voters. You just heard it. They don't have any problem with that. They celebrate it. Here's the deal. We have a problem with it. The Constitution has a problem with it. American elections should be decided by American citizens. That's it. That's what this is about. That's why we're jumping up and down and screaming, my friends on the video who are commenting about this. That's why we're so upset, because our constituents are frightened that we are losing our country. We're losing our security, we're losing our sovereignty, because we're going to allow people from 160 different countries around the world to come in here and decide our elections. That's it. Here it is on record. You all heard it. I'm out of time. I yield back.
The failure of city and state governments to adequately respond fuels anger and frustration among both illegal immigrants and residents, leading to heightened social unrest and polarization. Financial mismanagement and bureaucratic inefficiencies further compound the crisis, leaving vulnerable populations stranded without access to essential services and support. As the situation reaches a breaking point, the consequences of government failings become painfully evident, leaving communities reeling from the fallout of their elected leaders' inability to navigate the complexities of overwhelmed borders.
1.9 million gotaways. That statement alone should convince anybody on either side. 1.9 million gotaways, the border is not secure. It's ridiculous to claim so.
Improving political issues like this fall on you, an educated, informed citizen, now more than ever. Being able to respond to these issues requires you to be financially free. Schools and colleges don't teach you about being an entrepreneur, but instead push you into the rat race that is 9 to 5. So where do you start? With Audible, you can read hundreds of books about these topics as well as many others. Monthly subscriptions start at $7.95. Start now and expand your knowledge on financial education today. The more we become financially free, the more we can help improve others' lives. Link is in the description.
The negotiation didn't have a path to citizenship. It was entirely on their terms in order to get Ukraine funding, right?
Well, I mean, Chris, that's been a failed play for 20 years. So right. You are right that that has been the Democratic strategy for 30 years, maybe, and it has failed to deliver for the people we care about most, the undocumented Americans that are in this country.